bit about what he did as it moved along and everything else. I'm going to tell you about what we do, and kind of what we do a little bit different as far as the trust goes and everything. Because there's some extra things I provide for you that most people will not provide. And I'm going to go to the differences in what we do versus what other people do. So, Office is Brightwell Law, PLC is their company name. And I'm going to back up and read a little bit as well. Okay, so Brightwell Law PLC, we specialize in estate planning and administration. After something happens and you have to pass your assets, let's say if you become incapacitated and you got a beneficiary that's going to get some money, or the day when someone dies, the beneficiary is going to get some money, I'm going to make sure that the person that is your beneficiary is going to have what they need to be able to get what they need and make sure everything's set up correctly. I've been in the business now about 11 years. We're one of the best estate planning firms in Florida, without a doubt. There's all kinds of things I've learned going all over the country and learning things from different people to make sure I know the best way to provide for you. One thing I do is I provide Medicaid benefits planning too. A lot of people, and I'm going to talk about this as we go through, a lot of people really kind of skip over and don't think about Medicaid. You may think, oh, I never used Medicaid, but as we go through, I'm going to talk to you about how it can benefit you and what it does for you. I've handled numerous estate administrations, people that are passing on assets. I've litigated tons of probate matters, and that is why I've learned what not to do, okay? A probate is a problem. So it's like, everyone knows the saying, when there's a will, there's a probate is what it is, okay? You get a probate court case to distribute your assets. The problem with probate is this. A probate one is going to take somewhere between 2 months and a year to finish. It's going to cost your beneficiaries about 3% of your estate value. So let's say you have a house that's worth $200,000 and you have $50,000 worth of investments, okay? $200,000, that's going to cost $6,000. $50,000 worth of investments, that's going to cost another $1,500. It's $7,500 for $250,000 estate to go through probate. That's a problem because that's going to cost your beneficiaries money. With a trust, there's going to be no cost to your beneficiaries once it passes on. Okay, now we'll explain this as we get to this. Recognized as a definite authority by fellow professionals. My office is located nearby. It's down on Garden Street, downtown Pensacola, 236 West Garden Street is the address. If some of you know my offices already, but if you don't, there's Fleet Feet out in front of us right there. There's also Cristola's Cheesecake right there. And so it's easy to find the signs on Garden Street, but it's 236 West Garden Street. I'm a couple of lights down from Shopbox there. I used to be in the Marine Corps, and I was actually in the Marine Corps twice, and lots of things. And back in the day, I was playing and having a good time in the Marine Corps. Unfortunately, it's lots to do in the Marine Corps. I've been a real estate broker, pre-licensed instructor, continuing education instructor, offer real estate. That's why I do a lot of stuff with real estate as well. All right, thank you for coming, and congratulations. Okay, you made it here. A lot of people don't even think about this. They never even come to any kind of seminar to learn about this. You have set yourself up to learn a lot more here. This is a definite big plus that you come from. Problems with people, procrastination. I told my granddad a little bit. All right, my granddad was one of those people. Back in the day, he owned 25% of a Mercedes dealership, sold it, bought a moving company, ended up buying 3 more moving companies, had 4 moving companies, very successful. We all thought, Granddad always makes sure everything's set up for everyone. He's going to have his stuff set up. One day he called a friend of his that he had been meeting at McDonald's for about 30 years and said he couldn't figure out how to get there anymore. And he mentally went downhill very quickly. His wife had a stroke about 2 years before that. He took care of her at home. Obviously couldn't do that anymore. So they both had to go to nurse home. Okay? For her, it was $350 a day. She was in there about 7 years. Do the math. That was massive. My granddad, he had a better deal. It was only $300 a day. About one of the cheapest ones you get. This a little more than 10 years ago, too. And he was in there more than 500 days before he died. And so for him, it cost him more than $150,000, the estate. For her, I can't remember how much it was, but it's close to $1 million it cost for her. And so because of all the estate got eaten up and gone away, there's ways to avoid that, and I'm going to talk to you about that as we get to this today. But procrastination is bad. So many people say, I'm going to do it next week, next month, I'm going to do it. People keep putting it off, and all of a sudden it's too late one day. You know? Because once you get that past that point, something happens, you can never go back and do it again. Make sure we don't procrastinate too much. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I teach in class, teach you about it, and make sure you don't procrastinate. Something else, lack of knowledge. There's a lot of people don't really know that much about estate planning, or you know too much because you get on the internet. There's so much out there. It's kind of confusing about what is what we should believe in, and so it makes it very difficult because there's so much information out there on the internet now. But besides that, a lot of people don't really know about estate planning, what you can do, what is beneficial for you. That's why I go over stuff today. All right, ground rules. Please do not, everyone, please turn your cell phones off so they don't ring and disrupt us. We're going to finish today. And also, I'm going to have a question period at the end, okay? Try not to ask questions as we go along. If you have a question, make a note of it, and I'll definitely answer at the end. I don't want to drag on too long, so make sure we kind of get through this class today. All right, what is a living trust and how is it different from a will? That's a very common question that I get. Okay? A living trust is a legal document. It's similar to a will. It's going to one thing it's going to do is going to pass your assets from you to someone else. That's similar to a will if you're deceased. After signing the trust, a second step occurs that does not happen in a will. And what that second step is your assets can be transferred from you to your trust. Your trust is going to own it. That's very advantageous. People always say, well, I don't want someone else to own my assets. You're the trustee though. You're the boss. You manage the trust. Okay. You're also the beneficiary. Okay. Until you decease, and it's going to pass on some up. But the trust will make sure that it doesn't have to go through probate. If you decease, your assets must go through probate to pass on to someone else. There's nobody go. If I wrote a will and I have to go through probate still? Yes, you've got to go through probate still. If you write a will, especially if you write a will, you've got to have some way of passing on. Now, a trust never dies. Okay, it's an entity. It's like a company. Okay, it owns everything. You put everything in your trust. You put your house, you're owned by the trust on your house. Trust owns your bank accounts. Trust owns your car. Trust owns everything. You're the trustee. You're the boss. You can buy something, put it in your trust. You can sell something out of your trust. No problem. Okay, but the advantage is there is no probate. Okay, if you decease, someone else is the successor trustee. They're like the backup president of the company. They step in. You have instructions for what to do. You say, give my house to so-and-so, or sell it and split it between these people, whatever it may be. Your trust, your successor trustee is going to follow your instructions, and they can do everything that day. Okay? A successor trustee can sign a deed and transfer your house the day you decease. There's no 2 months to a year wait for probate courts to move forward. There's no cost. There's no stress for your beneficiaries. All of it can happen that day. So it's a big advantage with a trust. During your lifetime, it's business as usual. Okay, you run everything. When you sign it, if you buy a new car, the only difference is I'm going to give you all certification trust. You just say, I want this to go in my trust, show them the document, and they're going to know how to put it in your trust. Same thing, a new bank account, buy a house, whatever it is, or sell a house. This is my certification trust, and the title company will know how to transfer it from your trust or to your trust. And it's just like it's you. You'll sign your name just like home. You don't sign your name differently. The only difference is underneath your name, you'll have your name as trustee for your trust. And that'll be the only difference. That'll be under the line there before we sign things. You're in control as a trustee. You're the boss. You're also the beneficiary. So if let's say something happens to you, you can't manage your trust anymore. Someone else steps in. They must provide, it's right in the trust, they must provide for you. They must look out for your health, welfare, maintenance. They must always allow you to stay in your house too. Your living trust is amendable and revocable. Okay, what this means is you can change it. You get mad at Cousin Sam. I don't want Cousin Sam to get money anymore. Cut it out. You make your changes as you move along. Okay? You can tear it up and say, I'm not doing the trust anymore. Maybe some new law comes out or whatever. You don't want to do it anymore. If that happens, you can tear it up. It is anytime you're alive, while you still have capacity, of course, if you lose capacity, you can't talk, that would be different. But if you have capacity, you can change your trust or revoke it at any point in time where you're still living. It's merely a standby vehicle. It will jump into action if you need it for some special reason that comes up. Okay? It may leap into action without going to court. With a probate, you've got a will, but you've got to go to court to transfer the assets. There is no court with a trust. It's already set up. It just keeps on running because it's a separate entity. It's its own company. All right, what is a living trust? How is it different from a will? More questions about that. A living trust is only a estate planning vehicle that provides all three of these that I'm about to go over. Okay, there's all kinds of different things out there. You can do ladybird deeds. There's different ways to put an account in someone else's name. But the trust is going to handle everything, the whole gamut of your assets. It will handle, make sure everything's looked out for you. Distribution, that's one thing it does. To the right people, at the right time, and keeping the wrong people out. That's the key. And a lot of that's going to go into when I talk about the right trust to move forward. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to make sure these things do happen. That's all this trust can do to set it correctly. It distributes your assets to someone if you either become incapacitated or if you're deceased. And you got to make sure it's the right people, the right time, and keep the wrong people out. Management. For you when you're ill, disabled, incapacitated, or your beneficiaries or for your beneficiaries after you're gone. That's management of your trust assets. Let's talk about, okay, if you become incapacitated, you have to go to a nursing home, something like that. It can make it so you're not having to pay those big nursing home bills that my granddad had to pay, okay? It can prevent that. Okay? The government will pay for it. The problem is the government will not pay for it if you have money. And so they looked at my granddad and said, you got money, you know? Plus you got a house that's worth about $500,000. Sell the house and that takes care of it, no problem. But if you set it up correctly, so that not even your trust has it, it's a separate entity completely, you're protected, and therefore the government will pay your money for you. Okay? That's very critical when we set up. I'm going to talk a little bit about this as we move forward about how I'm going to do that. Also, management, only one other thing, management. After you decease, passing on to your beneficiaries. Okay? Sometimes you have different problems with beneficiaries. If you just give money, is that always the answer? It may not be the answer for some people. Okay? They may go out and say, well, go buy a new Corvette, you know, whatever. And so sometimes you have to set something differently. It can't continue on and manage your assets after you decease as well, when it passes on to your beneficiaries. Preservation. Guardianship. This is something that happens to someone. If you lose capacity and you can't manage your assets anymore, someone can step in and get appointed as a guardian. But it's a difficult process, and really they don't have as much control because nothing really set up yet, okay? And so they could go to court, it takes several months, by then you've lost a lot of money or out of your estate. Once they do get appointed, they are limited on the powers and everything else, which you can avoid guardianship if you set up the trust. And I'm going to talk about that as we move forward, someone having a durable power of attorney. Also, death probate, where deceased avoids the probate, claims of some living partner or future spouse, state taxes for a married couple, all these things that is going to preserve or protect against. Oh, what did I miss there? A living trust is the best vehicle for most people. Almost anyone out there, a living trust is the best way to accomplish all these goals.